BaconBit.
He's
Rar.
Rar. Hello, cool cats and kittens.
Oh, no.
That was a way better intro.
Well, it would have been great. Hey,
Yeah.
cool cats and kittens. Welcome to this Bacon Bit. There aren't many movies coming out, Kent.
What?
Yeah. Or Zack.
Hi, Zack.
Hi.
Zack filling in for Jacob today on this Bacon Bit. I was going to say, there's not many movies coming out, but if I'll tell you one thing everyone seems to be talking about, aside from the coronavirus, is Tiger King.
Maybe more than the coronavirus because people want to forget about how sad and lonely their lives are now.
And what they honestly do is they look at it and go, no matter how bad my quarantine is, my life is still better than what's happening on this TV show.
And that's it's so bizarre that it does take your mind off, at least for a little while. So at the beginning here, we're going to be doing a review of Tiger King, Murder, Mayhem, and Madness. We're going to be giving our review here at the beginning, fairly spoiler-free.
Why does it need that subtitle? It should be called Tiger King.
I think maybe because there's another Tiger King out there, like some Bollywood movie or something.
Oh, that's probably true.
But so we're going to be our spoiler-free review up here at the beginning, and then we'll jump into the spoilers, and then we'll just spoil this thing.
Okay.
Like crazy.
Yeah.
So
sounds great.
Let's begin. Zach, you're our guest. Why don't you give us your, first of all, give us your synopsis of what Tiger King is about, very briefly, no spoilers.
Very briefly, no spoilers.
And then your brief review.
It is a show about a very eccentric man. We'll call him Joe Exotic. A very eccentric man and his journey in being the owner of a large zoo full of tigers, and how he was involved in a murder for hire plot.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, 7 episodes. You can find this on Netflix now if you haven't already.
It released actually on March 20th, 2020, which, as weird as it sounds, it was very good timing from Netflix because it was just like, people were like, what are we going to do? Hey, something new on Netflix. And then this hit. And I saw so many tweets about it, and I kept thinking, is this just a lot of people are talking about it, or is it Netflix pushing the hype?
I'm going to say both.
For me, I found it from the memes.
Yeah. So
out there.
Some people believe that Netflix makes their own memes, like for Bird Box, for example. But Bird Box didn't quite have the staying power. It was there for like a week, and maybe people will be so tired of Joe Exotic's face,
and
his teeth.
I explained this to someone. I explained this show to someone as making a murderer, but for carnies.
Yeah, absolutely. This is Florida Man, the documentary series.
Except he's in Oklahoma.
He's in Oklahoma. There is a lot of Florida.
There's a lot of Florida.
Lots of Florida.
But Zach, why don't you give your thoughts, impressions? Did you jump right on the bandwagon, or did you wait a bit?
I was a little reluctant. I actually caught it a couple episodes in. A friend was watching it, and I'm like, what is this? Later that evening, started it, finished it pretty quickly, honestly. And I think it's really just like a train wreck. I couldn't look away.
But it feels like a train wreck where you see a car crash and then you're like, oh, that's pretty crazy. There's a lot of damage there. And then another one flips over it and does a crash on that. And then they just keep crashing in new and inventive ways.
I would say kind of the same thing. It's more like you see a car accident, a car crashes into another car.
Right.
And then a group of clowns gets out of the one car, and then some moose get out of another car. Yeah. And then all of a sudden a pterodactyl comes down and perches on top of once car.
That's basically it.
What?
I think that's the IMDb synopsis right there.
It is.
It's because it really does. Like every once in a while, they'll add a new layer. Okay, here's another thing about the main guy, Joe Exotic. Here's another thing about him. Oh, by the way, he's got multiple spouses. Oh, by the
Spoiler
way,
alert.
We'll get there.
Oh, by the way, he's got and so you find out so many things about the various characters, and you're like, this can't get any crazier, and then it does.
Yeah, it gets pretty insane.
So, did you like it?
I don't think I jumped that far, but at the same time, it's kind of all I can talk about and think about. So maybe
so it stays with you.
I mean, it's
did you binge watch it?
Yeah.
How many episodes would you say we watched in a day?
Day 1 was 3. Day 2 was the rest. So
5 or no,
it's 7 total.
Yeah, it's 3 and 4 would be 7 then.
Yeah, that's good math.
So what grade would you give it?
That's a good question. I would probably give it a C+ for quality.
Objection, Your Honor, leading the witness.
I'd probably give it.
Okay, what grade?
What rating would you give it?
I'm different than both of you. I do a 10-point number scale, so I am a 7.5 on this one.
That's basically stars.
Yeah,
it's basically stars.
But it makes significantly more sense than I haven't seen the movie for the one time. Then I have to give it anyway.
Okay.
I think it is. It's fun from a zeitgeist standpoint.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
you're
in that
in the
way,
know now.
I do think it is like a must watch. That said, I think it'll be like a weird blip of like, oh, remember during the pandemic when we watched that weird show
that a
about
fever
tigers?
dream?
Well, it's
Yeah.
kind of like, Making a Murderer, like you mentioned, Joel, where that was such a zeitgeist
And
moment.
everyone was talking about it.
And everyone's like, oh, he's so innocent, or this is my thoughts. And then 3 weeks later, you kind of forgot. And then a friend watches a month later, and you're almost offended that a friend would watch it a month after everyone else did.
I had people who watched it like years after.
Why?
And I don't know, but I was like, they start come talking to me, and they're like, "Oh, hey, I heard you. I heard you have an opinion about the show." I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "I just watched it." I'm like, "You just watched it?"
Yeah.
I have a whole packet for you that I created back in 2013,
17 or something like that. Yeah.
So
It's crazy.
anyway, I'll go next.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is one where I waited for VidAngel to get a hold of it.
Probably good.
It definitely, it's TVMA.
It definitely is.
There's lots of F words there. I believe there's nudity. I'm pretty sure there's nudity.
Slight. They show strip club scenes, but you don't see a ton, but they're still strip club scenes.
Yeah.
But it's mostly language. There is some violence in there too, and it's just disturbing at parts.
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Oh, VidAngel got it." And so this is just like a couple days ago, and we watched 2 the first night. And I'll go with Zack here. I'll agree with him. Is that I watched that first one? I'm like, and I remember someone saying, "I've watched the first 10 minutes of, or first 5 minutes of Tiger King, and I've already said what 10 times."
Yeah.
And that's how I felt. I was watching it, and I'm like, "What?" And I knew some stuff because of the memes, but I was under. We'll talk about this in spoiler full section. I was in a completely different impression of what happened. Versus what happened really in show. But I watched it. We watched 2 episodes the first night, and then we watched 5 the next night. We had to get it done. And really, really interesting for like the first 2/3 of it. And then at the end, it kind of felt like they lost their way. Like they had a great way of kind of doing the magician's reveal in the first couple episodes where it's like, ha ha, but wait, there's more. Ha ha.
Yeah.
But by the end, it was like, we're just kind of doing a mixed timeline here for no reason other than to make it confusing, and then do a reveal. But
One
then
reveal
you're
at a time.
Then you're
So they didn't jump over each other.
wah.
Yeah.
But the thing I loved about it, and I told you this, Kent, the thing I love about this show is that they could pull the parachute right at the beginning. They could have jumped out and been like, here's all the crazy.
Yeah.
And you'd have been like, that's insane. But the way they did it, they waited to pull the parachute, and a series of parachutes at different times where it's like, you don't see it coming, and all of a sudden it's like, wait, they end the episode and you're like, did they just say what I thought they said? Mm-hmm. And then you're like, well, I got to know more. That being said, it did slow down near the end, and I did fall asleep during the last episode. I had to rewatch it this morning, actually.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. It didn't affect me as emotionally as Making a Murderer did.
Which probably angered you, right?
It's so many emotions.
Yeah.
But then I got to this one, and I got to the end, and I was kind of like, wow, that was an insane ride. Oh, well, moving on.
Yeah.
So, you know what? For the insanity factor, I love being in the know, like you said.
Yeah.
But for the insanity factor, I was going to give it 3, but I'll give it 3.5 stars because it's more crazy than your average documentary, definitely. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if it's going to stick with me as much. I don't know if I can give it a full 4 stars because as crazy it was at the beginning, it was like a Stephen King thing where at the end it was kind of like,
I feel like if something comes up in the news to update you on the story, you'll be very into it.
And I just barely finished 2, so 3.5, 4, somewhere around there.
It's 2 episodes too long. If it was 2 episodes shorter.
It's actually 3 episodes too long.
Oh, really?
Well, okay.
Because each one's like
7
15
episodes.
minutes, right?
Granted, I'll say this. The last 3 episodes for me were completely dull. Mm-hmm. If they put those all into one episode, I think that would have been a very tight show. So maybe you're right. 2 episodes too long. The first 4 episodes are insane. The first one, I've heard a lot of people not really care for it because it just gives an overview of who these people are,
right,
and their weird mannerisms, and the fact that there are many tiger zoos down in the South, which people may not know.
Okay, there's a fact right at the beginning. This isn't spoiler, but this is a fact that blew my mind right at the beginning. I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, but
it's a news report.
Yeah, it's a news report. But they said there are more people. There are more pet tigers.
Yes,
yeah, tigers in captivity.
Tigers in captivity than tigers in the wild. And I was like, wait, what?
Probably by 4 times.
Yeah, there's like 4,000 actual like wild tigers out there.
Yeah,
and there's like 15,000 that are in captivity.
And
in
there's
zoos
about
or pets
200 at Joe Exotic's place.
I had no idea that so many people kept tigers as pets.
Yeah.
Like,
wait, you don't have one?
No, I don't.
I thought the bacon. I swore I saw a tiger
it's
around
not
here
a
somewhere.
pet. It just lives here. It's in the wild.
Oh,
it is the wild here.
Yeah, and technically it's a panther, but you know, whatever. So, Kent, why don't you go for your thoughts?
Yes.
Spoiler-free thoughts.
Yes, spoiler-free because there's so much I want to talk about in the show. But I had a lot of fun with it. I was dumbfounded at the end of every episode, and I said I need to watch the next one. And then even the beginning of the next episode would shock me.
And they're shortish. They're like 40 to 50 minutes.
And so they're relatively easy to watch. I would recommend that everyone watch this with someone else, either virtually or in the room.
Or someone to talk with about.
If you're just sitting there watching this, you'll be like, oh man, I feel dumb. I'm becoming more dumb as I watch this. Dumber, some people would say. Yep. And just have someone that you can text about this to or talk to and look at each other in just insanity.
Yeah.
Because it is a group experience. And that's why I think it is so series of the moment. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it's a blast to watch. It does get tired and the pacing's great until it's really not. Mm-hmm. And so I would give this one, I want to say B- right now because I was pretty into it.
Yeah.
Until I wasn't.
Right. Yeah. That's why, for me, it's a split between, I think it's a must watch. Mm-hmm. That's fine.
But you don't also.
But it has to be shared.
If you're looking for someone like a protagonist, you're not going to get it.
No. But we'll talk about that in the spoiler-full section. So, okay, are you guys ready to get in that?
Let's do it.
I was going to do spoilers, but that witch, Carole Baskin, told me not to do spoilers, but I'm going to do spoilers no matter what. Because Carole Baskin can't stop me from doing spoilers. We're spoiling this thing now, and she can't do nothing about it.
Here we go.
I saw a tiger. The tiger saw the man.
Zach, you're a singer.
Yeah, kind of.
Is he lip syncing?
No, 100%. There's no way that's
so
his
the whole time he's talking like this. It's
my not voice. His voice.
No, and then he sings and he's like, I went down to the creek and saw
the production value on these videos are pretty good.
They're not bad songs.
Yeah, way better than Big Cat Rescue's music videos.
Oh, God.
Okay, now this is how the show was pitched to me, and so it's slightly spoilerful.
Okay.
My friend said, okay, a gay, meth-addicted polygamist owns a tiger ranch and gets thrown in jail for murder plot against a woman who fed her husband to tigers. You should watch this show. And I was like,
that's it.
Yep,
and that's only two characters.
And that's only two of the many people.
Because then you get the Doc, the
Doc Antle,
the mystic mesmerizer of women.
Yeah, another polygamist, by the way.
Definitely running a cult.
Polygamist.
By the way, I want his couch so bad. He has a couch that takes up the whole room.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want his couch because,
So, okay, let's just jump into this. Carole.
Definitely did it.
She definitely did it.
So Carole Baskin is like, she's the kind of the, I don't even know what to call it because she has a rescue for tigers, but it's exactly the same
thing
as the zoo.
Yeah.
And she's like,
she's got a bigger zoo.
Well, my wife pointed out the only real difference is breeding. Like he's breeding tigers to sell them.
Okay.
She's not.
And she's very good at marketing. She has a very popular YouTube channel.
Hello, cats and kittens.
And she makes a lot of money from that. And she also had a lot of money from murdering her husband. So
we don't know that.
She did. She has the foundation that she needs to, whereas Joe Exotic is a broke as a joke guy.
But did you guys ever like Carole?
No, never.
No.
Because I never liked her. She annoyed me from the beginning. And I'm like, out of everyone in this entire show, she should be the one that I more identify with.
Do you know why?
She has some sort of morals.
Always smiling, the cackling when they talk about her dead husband.
Oh, God.
She's always laughing.
But I never liked her.
They're like soulless eyes when I look at Carole.
I can see that.
Well,
whereas
episode 1, she becomes unlikable when she's walking with her husband, and she's like, "Oh, you can read these plaques too." And she's like, "Okay." I'm like, "Ooh, she's not nice."
Well, but then I read a review and it was talking about it, and it's like, yeah, she's the one you're rooting for. And then by episode 3, you learn that she may have killed her husband, and everything changes. And I'm like, I never liked her.
No,
and I didn't like Joe.
Did you ever feel bad for Joe though?
Oh yes, I felt bad for so many people in this show.
Well, and that's the beauty that this show does, and why I think it kind of justifies a better grade maybe is because these aren't just side characters. You get to know each one individually. When you hear Rick, the TV producer's voice, you know it's Rick.
Yeah.
When you see John and his one tooth, you get to really like these characters for who they are, and they feel so genuine.
Well, because that's what blew my mind.
But are they?
I don't know. But what blew my mind is the fact that this world existed, that there were multiple people, and they keep bringing up new people. Like, oh, yeah, this guy owns big cats. Oh, this guy for the inspiration of Scarface, he owned big cats. Oh, this other person, they own big cats. And I'm like, how are there so many tiger pets out there?
Yeah.
And
they all hate each other.
Yeah. It's insane. It's insane.
It makes me wish dinosaurs were back and that everyone had a little dinosaur zoo.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
But like they're talking about how these are like thousands and thousands of dollars to feed these animals every month, and I'm like, how are you affording that?
Well, for me, it's like they're always, you just don't understand the tigers. They wouldn't hurt a fly. But you have one of the characters, Saf, who literally got her arm bit off by a tiger.
Such a good moment.
I was so glad when they blurred that out. But then I thought, why'd they blur it out? This is TVMA. But then I'm so glad they did.
Yeah.
Maybe they asked her.
Could be.
Yeah, because that was a moment where you're like, what?
But were you guys kind of like infuriated or confused when she was like, yeah, my hand was working. I was able to sign a paper after that. But they said 2 years of reconstructive surgery and it'll be just fine. And I'm like, nah, just cut it off.
It felt like
what?
A pioneer or something. Like, nope, cut it off. It'll take too long.
But she said she did it so she could get back to the zoo and prove to the media that it's not a big deal. And I'm like,
but you
could have had your hand.
kind of the magic of Joe Exotic is he does, and most of the characters here, except for Carole, put a spell on other people, whether it's Doc or Joe. They put a spell on people.
You don't think Carole put a spell on her current husband?
Oh, I'm sure she did.
He was, by the way, the only character I kind of liked by the end.
Yeah, but he was a little intense. Like, you could tell he's being bossed around.
Yeah.
And he was like, we're out for blood, basically.
No, when he was singing to his wife, that was beautiful.
Oh, my gosh.
So I can't decide who I'm going for as Halloween.
There's going to be so many
Joe
Exotic.
Or if I'm going to tuck my arm in my shirt and go as Saf.
Oh, no.
Or if I'm going to just not attend parties and be Carole Baskin's husband.
Shame.
So Carole Baskin, she's like the PETA person who's getting after the zoos for having their big cats. And then she has her own zoo of big cats that she has people pay to come see. And I'm like I said, there's no difference there. But her husband, who originally owned the big cats, I believe.
Yes.
They met while she was walking on the street after having a fight with her husband. And then he pulls up.
And affair.
And he pulls up. And he's like, get in my car. She's like, no. And then like the third time he did that, he had a gun on the seat. And he's like, you can hold that gun on me. I just want to take you for a drive around the block. And I'm
romance.
Like, this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. And he was like 30 years her senior.
And eventually she did use that gun on him.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Because the guy disappeared. Apparently he just disappeared.
Also, and Joe totally burned down the crocodile shack, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Isn't that awful?
Yeah. But then did you? I don't know if this is real, but I'm hearing that the show is so crazy that nobody mentioned that those were Michael Jackson's alligators.
What?
Michael Jackson has, of course he does.
Wait. Okay, how long do alligators live? Because Michael Jackson's been dead for about 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
Well, I think, aren't they like super old?
I don't know.
I feel like they get super old.
Maybe he just had young alligators.
They're Michael Jackson's alligators?
That's what I heard.
Oh,
I don't know if it's real.
sad.
And you know what? I don't need to know. This is so
this
crazy.
is so confusing for those of you who haven't seen the show. I'm sorry because we're just throwing out
bouncing all over the place.
And it did feel like to me that it was there was a shoehorn with the murder plot because it seemed so secondary to all the other craziness.
But at the same time, like he's literally threatening her, like having a facsimile
shooting
of her
a mannequin
shooting a mannequin of her on his web show.
But like it just seemed like that wasn't even teased, except for that is what it's about.
Oh yeah,
they didn't show that till the very last episode.
So because all the memes, I thought that Carole was killed, and that was the crux of the show. Like they were doing. I still wonder what the heck they were doing the documentary for.
Okay, so they briefly explained it right at the
very beginning.
They're
is
like,
that it?
They're like, I came here 5 years ago to do a story on black market snakes. The end. And then he followed them as they sold a little cougar or jaguar.
It was
or
a
something.
snow leopard.
Snow leopard, that's what it was. Yeah. And he followed him and then probably met Joe and said, oh, okay, I've got like a Sundance movie
but
here
for
or
5
something.
years, this documentary crew watched this story unfold in front of them, and they waited. They had the patience to wait this long to throw their story out there.
Yeah.
And there isn't any actual closure at the end, really.
No.
I mean, kind of, but not really.
Yeah. Like, so do you guys think that there will be much like Making a Murderer season 2 that gives updates, or we'll just see another crazy Southern,
maybe like a sequel documentary episode, or
maybe another Big Cats one? But I think Joe's story's basically done. I think from now it's going to be news stories from here on out.
Yeah,
but I think there could be another one for any other. Like Jeff's still out there.
Oh, I hate Jeff.
Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, Jeff's a swinger. Speaking of, we had the gay polygamist, the other polygamist, and then the swinger
wearing affliction shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate Jeff so much.
Both of Joe Exotic's husbands were straight.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, they said that
the third one wasn't.
That's true.
Wasn't he?
Apparently not, because he's still pining for him and helping him out.
It didn't seem like it because he wasn't even there at the end. They did some...
Oh, that's right. He wasn't there. But then he was helping them get into the storage shed.
It feels like they were all straight and he kind of tricked them with meth. Like, truthfully.
Yeah.
No, it really felt... Oh, man.
Yeah, I know.
This isn't something I want to joke around about, but we should talk about it. And because it's
How shocked
heavy.
were you when it happened?
Okay, so I kept watching the show, and the whole time, this sounds so weird to say, but one of Joe's husbands, he was never interviewed. Like, he never had a talking head interview to the camera. And I kept being like, they're not interviewing him. And I kept saying that, like, they're not interviewing him.
Well, they had some old footage.
That old footage, but
Yeah.
he didn't get it like a title. They didn't really get him talking. And I was like, something had to happen to him. And I thought he was going to get attacked by a tiger. But then in the course of the show, you learn that you just brought this up, he was addicted to drugs. And basically that's why he was sticking around. He was always high and he's always goofing around with guns.
Yeah, and messed around.
And they have, they don't show it. I should clarify if you're listening.
Yeah.
They don't show it, but they bring up the topic of suicide, but it wasn't really suicide because it was accidental. But he was goofing around with a gun and he shoots himself just barely off camera. Like the security camera was there. It was almost too perfect for me.
Yes.
Like, and I say that, it's weird to say, but the shot was so good. The resolution was so good. The color was so good.
The reaction shot as well.
The reaction
Yeah.
shot. But even there was a flash. And I'm like, I don't know if there's going to be a flash that may have been added in post just for that, for effect.
You have to wonder.
But I'm like, this guy killed himself in front of another guy accidentally. And it's this stomach-dropping, terrible moment of the show that I didn't see coming.
Yeah. And then the funeral.
Oh.
Yeah.
And he makes it about himself.
He makes it about himself, and he said some really inappropriate stuff in front of this guy's mom.
It ticked me off.
And the mom kind of laughs because she's probably on meth too. This is the South. It's the American South, and it's kind of
It's
embarrassing.
not all the South, but it's sad.
I'm just joking.
I think this is an interesting sign of the times, though, because if this had come out like 10 years ago, it would be a series on the Discovery Channel or TLC or something, like American Chopper.
Yeah. It'd probably been banned from like many places. It's like, too controversial.
Yeah.
It'll be straight to video. Did you guys rent Tiger King? No, we watched Faces of Death.
But now Netflix just cashing in on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like-
Did it feel weird that they're cashing in on these people's pain?
No.
Like,
Because we're all watching it.
I know, but at the same time,
they're just presenting, hey, here's some trash people.
you mentioned earlier, do you feel sad for Joe?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I really do. And then I see all these memes of like babies dressed up as him or like people dressing up as him for Halloween. And I laugh. And then I'm like, but that guy's so sad.
Yeah. He's
I don't
in
know.
prison
Do you
now.
guys
He's
feel
so
sad
sad
for him too?
He's probably kind of guilty, at least, because these Netflix ones, you never really know the truth. They always kind of skew it whichever way.
Yeah.
But yeah, you feel bad because he's had a hard life. You can tell. But he's also very manipulative. And so you have to go back and forth.
I get to the point where I'm like, does he know any better? Do I have to give him the benefit of the doubt? And then I go, no, he does, or at least he's so delusional that he very much like at his core believes what he's doing is right, and it's not. It's,
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what to think of it all.
Well, someone said at the end too that like it used to be about the cats, but then it became about the fame and money.
Right.
And I totally buy into that. That initially
too.
he did care.
I mean, that's the same thing with Baconsale, right?
Yeah, it's all about the money now. Used to be about
All
the
our
cool
big
cats.
that we have.
Yeah, now it's
cool
just
cats
all
and
about.
kittens. By the way, Carole has reacted to the show.
She's not pleased.
She's not pleased at all because it brought up her late husband, and she's put on her website, which they still have like zoos that they let people into. They're still available, and I'm like, what would that be like to have a business and then have your dirty laundry aired and have every customer who comes in being like, oh hey,
Honestly,
killed your
it's great
husband?
for the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I'm sure people are subscribed and watching every video.
But
just as
commenting
hearsay.
every time saying you killed your husband.
Probably. But she's still getting the views, still getting the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's not pleased that they focused on that. And I'm like, I gave it one episode, but you probably did it.
Well, and then Doc Antle has come out and said, "Why I was portrayed like a psychopath? I don't agree with that." But
He's a big goof, though,
Zack,
right?
You do movies.
Yeah.
All right. You do production.
Yeah.
Did you notice him bossing around the cameraman?
yes,
And the director?
actually, I'm gonna come in here. Actually, I liked that about whenever they introduced a character, they actually showed the moments before they quote unquote hit record.
Yeah.
and you almost got a more real
It's a slice
sense of
of who
who
they
they
are.
were.
Okay.
Yeah.
and then the camera turned on.
But
you
like
know?
I was bugged by the fact
Oh,
that he's
yeah.
like, no, I'll be over here. This will be a good shot. Let me do this and let me do this. And I'm like, dude, you're not the camera crew. You're not the director. What are you doing? And that actually put me off to him at the very beginning.
This documentary shows warts and all. Like, did he think he was going to be immune to that? No, nobody here is.
Yeah.
It's hard to recommend because the content's a little bit heavier, but it's something that everyone needs to see to escape from the world right now. Watch it on VidAngel
and
if you must.
Understand the memes.
Yeah.
And at least 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, you know...
But it's real quick. Even if you watch the next 3, you're not going to be bothered by it. It's just kind of like...
You're not.
Meh.
You'll just want to put it away forever.
The show is coasting to a stop at that point.
Yes.
So it's not like you enjoyed the ride. The coaster's coming to a slow coast at that point.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And I think if you read a synopsis, you wouldn't believe it. So you kind of need to watch it.
Your synopsis is great.
I still have trouble believing it. Like, I'm like, they had to be actors. They had to heighten this or change that. But anyway.
Apparently all real.
Yep. So there we go. That was our review of Netflix Tiger King.
So good.
Row, row, row. Row. Did you guys rent Tiger King? No, we watched Faces of Death.